Chad Colby's look at agriculture technology comes your way next, brought to you by the IBM Watson Decision Platform. Combining AI with Internet of Things data to help agribusiness increase yields, improve quality, and drive sustainability.
With this year's crop coming off, farmers around the country are preparing their fields for the next crop. And for some growers, that means an application of dry fertilizer. In this week's tech segment, Chad Colby talked with Brian Leone from Leone Grain and Supply about getting everything calibrated on your operation.
Brian, last week I had the opportunity to witness you calibrating your dry fertilizer spreaders. Talk a little bit about why that's important and what were you trying to accomplish during your calibration?
Well, we're just kind of getting into the start of the fertilizer season up here in north central Illinois, and we just wanted to verify that we're putting the fertilizer down where our customers and where we want to put it.
Brian, it looked to me like the technology that you were using with those pans is something that probably your dad, maybe your grandpa, and his grandpa probably did. But talk a little bit about some of the things you and Jason were really trying to accomplish. I know there's definitely an art to applying fertilizer. Talk a little bit more about what you guys were actually trying to achieve.
Well, all that high technology stuff that we were using, Chad's right, I'm sure my grandfather did use that back in the 1950s and 60s, and it's still in use today, and it's still very, very helpful. We're just trying to make sure that we've got an even spread pattern all the way across the width of the spread. And it's interesting the little changes that you can make in this stuff and what it does and how it can affect that and the weight of the fertilizer and stuff like that.
So Brian, is it correct you can still only throw fertilizer so far? What kind of advice would you give to a farmer who maybe is curious if he's got some issues that are fertilizer related out in his field?
You're exactly right, Chad. You can only throw the dry fertilizer so far, and I guess there's probably some people that will argue with me in the trade. And I've been to a lot of the fertilizer trade shows and looking at the fanciest, the latest and greatest fertilizer spreader technology. But if there's these spinners back here, it's been my experience that you can only get it so far. There's a lot of people that advertise 90, 100-foot spread widths. And that's not something that we promote, nor do we allow our operators to spread over 80 feet. And we found times that 80 foot is even pushing it, depending on what's in the blend.
Well, it was just interesting for me, and I appreciate you giving me a call that you were calibrating machines. Brian, did you notice any variability between the three machines when you ran them?
We did. You know, new leaders got a chart, and we do that calibration occasionally. We try to do it every year when we're getting started. But not a lot of difference, but each machine had a slightly different setting.
Brian, talk about the adjustments real quick on the back of the machine. I mean, I've run these myself. You've got two over here. Talk a little bit about what they do and what an operator might do to adjust his machine.
Well, this is basically just the gate. So if you're putting a lot of material on, you have to raise the gate up and recalibrate the monitor. But this is the spinner frame adjustment. This is the most important thing. You see it going backwards and forward, and that will drastically change the way it's spreading and where it's putting that fertilizer. So you have to make sure you have it in the right spot.
Well, one thing about it, it's neat seeing this old technology, but you know what? The fact of the matter is this is technology everybody uses, but you still got to run it correctly.
That's correct.
Calibration is so important, especially when we're looking at the cost of dry fertilizer here in 2022. Folks, stick around for more This Week in Agribusiness coming up. We're going to talk with Mike Steenhoek about the very low water levels on the Mississippi.